What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a video I know you guys are going to enjoy. I found a thread of the cringiest moments people have ever experienced in their life, and trust me when I tell you, it's some of the most painful cringe I've ever experienced. There were a few times where I wanted to crawl inside my own mouth and eat myself until I eventually stopped existing and became a black hole due to the density of the situation. It's a genuinely horrifyingly cringe-inducing experience, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it, so yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, but press the like button. Here's one thing I hate about grocery store lines. They're all separate. I would much prefer that everyone wait in a single line and move to the next available cashier like in customs, because we all know how much we hate waiting in line and seeing everyone around us go so much quicker. Well, I was having a particularly bad day, and I chose a particularly slow line in the grocery store. Ridiculously slow. Like, the line is twice as long next to us, and it was sailing through, whereas I wasn't moving at all. And then I realized the problem. The cashier was a jerk, and was taking his sweet time swiping groceries one at a time using only one hand, and he didn't care. He was some teenager with a scowl on his face, probably forced to work there by his parents. And finally, I'd had enough, and I snapped that this line is huge, and things would go a lot quicker if you used two hands. The two people in front of me turned and stared with looks of horror and disgust, and finally the cashier, with a totally blank look, turned to me as well. His left arm had been amputated at the shoulder. Bro, oh my goodness gracious. That has to be the worst story I've ever heard. This is why you should just keep your mouth shut and not say anything till you have all the facts of the situation. Context matters. You probably would have realized that was a very stupid thing to say if you would have looked for like 2 more seconds and understood the situation. This poor guy is trying his best, bro, to like do his job as a cashier. It's probably difficult if you're in his situation. This jerk is just screaming at him, bro. I'm surprised nobody in the line smacked you in the back of the head for that comment. I understand it wasn't your intention, but goodness gracious, that hurts. I went camping with some friends once, and we ate some mushrooms. At one point, I had to go to the bathroom, so I went to the bathroom on the campground, did my business, and went back to the campsite. I grabbed a beer from the cooler, and it was a Bud Light, and I thought that was weird, because I don't drink Bud Light, and neither do my friends. I just wanted something cold in my mouth, and I didn't care, and I sat down at the fire and started drinking my beer and realized everyone had gone quiet and was staring at me. First, I was like, why aren't you guys talking? Did I fart? And then, why are you staring at me like that? And then it clicked. Oh my god, you're not my friends, where am I? I went to the wrong campsite and just plopped my tripping butt down at the fire with a family of 4, a husband, wife, and 2 kids, and they just looked horrified. I'll never forget the looks on their faces, and this was years ago, so maybe the kids are on Reddit now. If so, and you're reading this, I'm sorry for ruining your camping trip. Bro, this family's always gonna have the wildest story about how one time we were camping and this insane man jumped out of the woods, grabbed a beer from the cooler, and sat down and started trying to talk to us until he realized his mistake and ran away. I don't know what he was on, but it was terrifying. Like, bro, from their perspective, this has to be one of the scariest experiences ever. The next morning, they were just hurriedly packing up their camp to get out of there as fast as they can. Honey, I don't want to deal with the crazy people that live in the woods around here again. He drank all of my beer. How funny would it be if in the reply to this was someone being like, hey, that was me and my family. Thanks for scaring the crap out of us. Oh, I've done something similar to this. I had gotten hooked on Rubik's Cubes during college, and I carried that thing everywhere, playing with it as I walked to and from class. So I walk into my dorm building, up the stairs to my room, mostly focused on the Rubik's Cube, and I open the door, walk through the kitchen, and notice a girl doing something in the fridge. No biggie, she was probably with one of my roommates, so I open the door to my room and immediately start noticing something strange with the decor. And then I noticed 2 girls in the room sitting on either bed, and it hit me. I started backing out, blurting explanations, and to this day I still remember the horrified look on the girl at the refrigerator's face as I backed past her. They followed me to the door and slammed it in my face, partially pushing me out with it. And then the screaming started. To this day, I don't know why they started screaming, but they did, and I got out of there. And later heard from a friend on the floor the girl's RA was looking for me. Bro, I understand it was an accident, but the whole I don't know why they started screaming, a total stranger just walked into their dorm room, man. What do you think they were screaming for? Like excitement that a stranger just broke into their room? I don't think so. Also, do people just not keep their door locked anymore? Like, if anything, this entire video should just remind you, keep your door locked. Not just because of burglars and serial killers, but also because apparently Rubik's Cubes are so good at distracting people that someone might accidentally break into your house. I don't know why they were screaming. Probably the stranger standing in their kitchen, if I had to venture out and make an educated guess. When I was 10, my dad and his co-workers were over at our house with their families for a Christmas party. My mom was doing the whole hostess thing and had been stressed out, and I went to use the bathroom in the middle of the party and it stunk something fierce. Being 10 and a social idiot, I then walked out into the room with the party going on and yelled while waving my hands in a smelly motion, "Woo, who made the bathroom stink so bad?" My poor horrified and embarrassed mom's face when admitting that it was her. Oh man, your mom's out there like being an incredible host for the party, you know, she's got the hors d'oeuvres on deck, man. She's got games, she's got the music bumping, everything's going incredible, outruns her son. Who took a massive dump? I had to break it up with the poop knife, man. Son, that was me. That was me, dude. Like, I love that they made her admit to it too. Did the entire party stop and start trying to figure it out? I feel like if I was at a party and like the host kid ran out of the bathroom and said something like that, I would just ignore it and just pretend I didn't hear anything. Not because it's not funny, it would be hilarious, I'd remember it, but I'm just saying I would be like, I don't want whoever stunk up the toilet to get embarrassed that hard. Was this entire party just shaming the mother? Was it you? Did you poop Darlene? Darlene's poops are massive, guys, I'm telling you. Darlene's poops are huge. When I was in high school, I was sitting with my ex-girlfriend before class started. I was building a motorcycle and auto shop, and I had brought a large chrome-plated castle nut to school with me to finish attaching the wheel to the frame. Well, we were goofing around, and I thought it would be cute if I slid the lug nut onto her ring finger. Then, after the novelty wore off, it quickly dawned upon me that this guy was not gonna slide off. The threads of the nut were tearing into her skin every time we pulled, like a sadistic Chinese finger trap. So first, I went to my shop teacher, and we tried to use motor oil to get it off, a painful and unfruitful venture, which only led to me being insulted by my favorite teacher. So I had to go with her to the principal's office and explain what happened, and then she went to the hospital, and I went with her and watched as the fire department cut this super hard lug nut off her hand while all the firefighters laughed and insulted me. The nut kept heating up and burning the skin because metal gets very hot when being cut, so this lasted quite a while. Yeah, I understand why she's your ex, man. Like, I know it wasn't your intention, but I feel like after somebody gets a metal thing stuck on you for hours and then everyone's just roasting him, pointing out how stupid it was for a prolonged period of time, it's not gonna make you look incredible, dude. Plus, if you actually did end up marrying her, like when you're proposing, she'd probably have a PTSD flashback. Please don't keep it stuck on my finger. I don't want the fire department to have to cut it off again. You're like, honey, I'm actually proposing. I'm sorry, I just don't trust any ring that you've got. Sorry, I really just, I want to marry you, but I can't trust the ring. This is some next level cringe, bro, especially because, like, how did she explain that to her parents? Oh, my boyfriend's an idiot. Sorry, I had to go to the hospital. Here's the giant medical bill. I'm sure they were thrilled as well. That would be my speech class in college when the one and only week we would be videotaped, I began my demonstration by taking a bite out of a peanut butter sandwich, and likely, due to a combination of nerves, dry mouth, dry sandwich, and lack of rehearsal, was unable to swallow and spent half my time limit choking on the sandwich. I love how they just kept recording you and kept the, like, timer going. That seems kind of brutal, to be honest. Like, it's a speech class, you take a bite out of the sandwich, you start choking, no one jumps up to give you the Heimlich, no one stops the timer, he dies the way he deserves, failing. Like, goodness gracious, dude, I would be more concerned after the fact at realizing that basically nobody in my class actually cared whether or not I had the ability to breathe. Oh, he's alright, he'll get through it, anytime now, oh, and he's turning blue, okay, well, alright, anytime now, anytime. When I was around 14 years old, I used to play video games all day. Actually, a certain MMORPG, which was not WoW. So my mother made me go to group therapy for gaming addicted people. We make our way there and I enter a room full of people at least twice my age, and after the door was locked to have a secure location to talk, it hit me. The German term for gaming addiction can refer to gambling as well. So here I was, 14 years old, in a room full of people who have lost their possessions and family over a severe gambling addiction that has ruined their lives, and they make me talk about my gaming addiction. Lots of fun. Bro, did your mom do no research before she took you there? I feel like gaming addiction usually has been gambling. Maybe that's just because I live in Las Vegas, so like I just kind of knew what it was already. Oh, but that would be brutal, dude. Some 40-year-old man is like, and that's when I took out the 4th mortgage on my house, bet it all on the 9th horse at the Kentucky Derby, lost everything, and my wife left me and took the kids. And you're like, damn, bro, that's crazy. But did you get a good respawn? Like, oh my goodness. You know, they were sitting around so pissed off when he starts talking about, so I was trying to min-max my my warlock. Bro, we're talking about gaming addiction, not video game addiction. This one happened last week. I saw a new guy at the office walking to the exit a few feet ahead of me, and he was using the same backpack I was. So I said, hey, nice backpack. And he turned around to me and said, huh? And I repeated, nice backpack, while I took mine off to show him it was the same. Except it wasn't. Not even close. Oh, bro, he just thinks you're like a guy who's really into backpacks now. Oh, yeah, there's this guy in my office who apparently has a huge thing for backpacks. I was walking out one day, he complimented mine and then took his off for some reason to show me. I was like, cool, bro, nice Paw Patrol backpack. I'm not really sure what you want me to do with that. I had an oral examination board when I was in the Navy, during which I just completely froze up and forgot everything I knew about what I was getting examined on. I could barely get a coherent strings of words out. 3 hours of me just sitting there like a jerk while my captain and 2 more of my supervising officers just asked me questions I couldn't answer while looking at me like I was the stupidest man alive. It was excruciating and the most spectacular failure of my whole life. I'd spent months preparing and it just looked like I'd done no work at all. Suffice to say, my performance was so bad I got carpeted and did not get a second chance. No idea what happened to me. I could answer most of the questions now, no sweat, and I ended up leaving the Navy very soon after that. Everyone's had a brain fart. Everyone's been tripped up on their words, you know? Like, I do it at least 3 times a video. Talking is hard. But you're telling me you had a brain fart for 3 hours? Man, you gotta see a doctor, I think. There's probably something going on with the memory there. Thank you for being in the Navy and all, but I think you might have a deeper memory issue if you had a 3-hour-long brain fart. I went to visit my grandparents in Delaware when I was 15, and my grandmother drove me out to the Jolly Rogers amusement park. She didn't go on many of the rides, so I was always going up in line alone, and I was last in line for the bumper cars, and of course, there were no cars left when I got to the front. I watched people have fun for 5 minutes as I waited, and no one else got in line behind me. Their fun ended and it was my turn, and the operators let me get in a car and switch the ride on. I was hoping at least one of them would ride around too, but no, they just watched me sit there. So I started driving in circles and ramming empty cars, and this was going on a line started building up again. I saw those people in line and sat there again for a bit, looking from the line to the people in charge of the ride, but nothing. I continued to drive in circles for the longest 5 minutes of my life as the line got longer and longer. My timer ends and the cars shut off, and I'm sat there thinking I get another go since that was pretty stupid of them. And nope, they came up to me asking for more tickets. Of course I had none left and had the saddest, loneliest walk-off of one of my previously favorite amusement park attractions. Yeah, that probably is up there as one of the most awkward 5 minutes I've ever heard of. You're just alone, spending your time driving in circles in an empty bumper car track or like arena, whatever it's called. And there's a bunch of people in line watching you for 5 minutes straight. Bro, I would just get up and leave mid-ride. I don't even care, man. They can yell at me if they want. Also, really messed up of them to come over and be like, you got more tickets? Why didn't they just stop the ride as soon as more people showed up? I feel like letting the ride go with one person just makes literally no sense in the first place. I don't know what the rules are, but like, it should have been obvious that that's no fun for the person that's driving the bumper cars. Alright, you have fun driving these cars with nobody else. The entire point is to crash into others, but just crash into the cars that are parked still. It's the same fun. I threw a huge tantrum in kindergarten because it was a foot-long hot dog day and I had packed a lunch. I threw such a large tantrum that my mom came to the school with lunch money just so I could get a hot dog, which then promptly gave me some of the worst food poisoning of my life. Karma didn't even want to give you a chance to enjoy the hot dog. It was like, oh, you want to throw a tantrum and make your mom come down to the school so you can buy a hot dog? All right, you're going to have a very, very unpleasant time. Also, I feel like school cafeteria food is notoriously sketchy. I would be more scared than I would be excited if the school cafeteria had a foot-long hot dog. You know how much they already try to cheap out on food? You know how much they would have to cheap out on a foot-long hot dog? Apparently enough to give the entire school food poisoning. There was once a technician at our house in order to fix a water heater about 2 years ago. I was walking by the bathroom and heard the toilet flush, so I decided to lean flat against the wall by the door in order to scare my brother. And boy, did I give him a fright. But as you may have guessed, it wasn't my brother. I was 21 at the time and it was super awkward and cringe embarrassing. Thinking back now, the look on that guy's face was priceless when I yelled in his face the moment he opened the door. I bet you his life flashed before his eyes, man. Like imagine, you're making a house call, you're just trying to fix someone's water heater, you use the bathroom, you come out, and the second you open the door, someone's screaming in your face. You're like, oh, okay, this house is owned by a crazy person. This is how I go out. Imagine having to explain it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my brother. Oh, so you usually wait outside the bathroom and listen to your brother use the restroom? Well, no, when you put it that way, it's like, okay, so you just wanted to scare me because I'm the water heater guy? No, I didn't know it was you. All right, man. All right, whatever. On the bright side, he probably tells this story whenever people are like, what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen while you're trying to fix someone's water heater? One time, a guy tried to scare me after I took a massive dump. When I was younger, I was obsessed with Phantom of the Opera and decided to reenact it with my parents as the supporting actors. I made a mask out of white paper plates, wore a cape, and tried to perform the musical numbers as my mom filmed. College was a strange time. It's even funnier with that last sentence, college was a weird time. I'm just imagining like some 20-year-old getting so obsessed with a musical that they start making masks out of paper plates. Like that's just such a little kid craft to me, no offense. I feel like these tapes are something that every reaction commentator could make a good video on. Just some dude being like, Phantom of the Opera, in like paper plate mask with his beard. You know your mom's gonna tell everyone this story for the rest of your life. Every time you don't want you to be embarrassed, she's gonna be like, oh my goodness, my son's so talented. One time he made a mask and performed the whole musical. Sure, he was off key and the mask was made out of paper plate, but it's the thought that counts. The Phantom of the Opera would have been very, very proud. It's not something I did, but back in primary school, we used to have assemblies every Monday for the whole school. And because my school was a public school and not wealthy, we didn't have a hall. So we all grabbed our chairs and would take them to a big sheltered area that we had. And about 20 minutes into the assembly, a kindergarten kid arrives, and the principal stops her announcement and asks the kid why he's late in front of the whole school, and the kid yells out, I did a big poo. Everyone laughed except that kid. See, doing something like this would suck because then you get the nickname like Poo Boy, and it just sticks until you graduate high school or move, whichever one comes first, you know? He's just gonna be on the grind trying to graduate at 14 so he can stop being known as Poo Boy. I've always hated when teachers and principals would do this though, the whole like, well, where were you when you're late? Well, do you really want to know? What if I had a medical emergency? What if I pooped my pants? What if I just didn't feel like coming? It's really none of your business. I'm here now. Like, I understand that technically they're allowed to ask, but really, if someone's late for something, chances are there's probably a good reason. Not every time. Sometimes people just suck. But I feel like if on the off chance it's a really good reason, like let's say they're late because they had a medical emergency, you really want to call them out, bro. Oh, why are you late? I had a heart attack. Thanks, Dan. I was in the lobby of a guest house in Thailand waiting for our car to pick us up. The manager was a very small lady who was standing with us, and she had been so lovely to us during our stay. She spoke very little English, but when the car pulled up, she raised her arms to me as I stood up, and I assumed she wanted a hug from me, so I obliged. Even though I recalled it was impolite to hug a Thai person. Turns out she was gesturing for me to pull the cord on the ceiling fan in order to turn the fan on because she couldn't reach it and I was tall. Super awkward. I don't know if it's rude to hug people in Thai culture. I know, like, people have different customs and whatnot. If it is rude, that makes this entire thing even funnier, that you just, like, unintentionally insulted her as you were leaving after she had been nice to you for the stay. Hey, please turn on that lamp for me. Just, like, goes in for the hug. Okay, I'm not really down for this. This is super weird. Please let go. I just don't think you can ever go back now. Like, that's just a very awkward thing. I'm sure you could go back, but it would be a little bit awkward. You walk in, oh, the man who hugged me. I was 14 years old and at a basketball game, and I had bought a raffle ticket to win the $10,000 half-court shot at halftime. My number was drawn, and I remember trying to get my dad to do it for me, but he pressured me into walking down to the court. And with thousands of people watching me in the audience and X amount of people from home, I took the half-court shot and airballed it about 10 feet to the left and 5 feet over the backboard. And it was the longest walk back up into the stands and into the seats where my dad was laughing maniacally at me. That's a very dad move, to just be laughing at you after you made this giant mistake and missed out on the $10,000 half-court shot. Almost like that was low-key what he was hoping for. That's just a very dad thing to do, you know? My dad would have done the same thing. You've got it. I missed. I turn around. He's just like, hey, you missed, but it was funny for me. It's even worse that there's thousands of people watching, dude. You go to school the next day, someone's like, yo, bro, I saw you airball that half-court shot last night. I bet you're not too thrilled to miss out on that money. Oh, thanks, man. You were there? Sweet, sweet. Glad to know that moment will live on forever. Today I messed up by making my dad punch a stripper in Grand Theft Auto and then tearfully ask God for forgiveness in front of my entire family. When I was young, my brothers and I snuck a copy of San Andreas into the house, and we spent days holed up in the basement taking turns playing. And down there, my parents didn't bother us too much, and in order to get tons of money for weapons, we had yet to figure out my parents' dial-up passwords, so cheats weren't a thing. We would go to the strip club and stand on the stage, absorbing the money the dudes threw at the woman, and then let the game sit for 10-20 minutes. We had to be careful though, because sometimes the strippers would do a move and bump into CJ, and the bouncers would shoot the place up. One day, while I was playing, my mom yelled down to the basement at us to get ready because we were going to Pizza Hut, and in a stroke of genius, I drove to the GTA strip club, got up on stage, and turned off the TV, and we left. It was to be the heist of the century. My dad, however, was at church at this time, practicing for a gospel concert he was singing in. He always filmed the practices so he could take notes at home upon playback, and this time was no different. While my mom and brothers and I were still at the hut, he arrived home and plugged in the camcorder into the VCR, and we had just one VCR and it was connected to the basement TV. Back at the hut, my mom gets a phone call, puts her napkin down, and slowly looks around the table and says, okay, a few times into the phone, in this really calculating, specific way that she always did when she knew we were in trouble before we did. Naturally, at this point, we knew we were in trouble, but for what, we didn't know. After a very quiet minivan ride, we get home and my mom says, boys, why don't we go downstairs to the basement? Your dad wants to show you his gospel practice downstairs. It was at this point we knew why we were in trouble. We drag our feet downstairs and lo and behold, my dad is sitting on the couch, TV on, a stripper's polygonal boobies swung stiffly back and forth on screen to In Vogue's My Lovin', with CJ standing mere inches away collecting money. My dad starts in, boys, I don't even know where to begin. This PlayStation was a blessing to you for Christmas, and this is how you repay us, by breaking our trust? He's holding the controller up now, gesticulating with it. Here I am, practicing to bring glory to God, but he was cut off as he inadvertently squeezed the controller, causing CJ to punch the stripper. My entire family stands in silence watching together as the bouncers in the strip club shoot the place up for what seems to be like an eternity. After it stops, CJ appears in front of the hospital, and I look back and see my mom silently weeping into her hand. I look at my dad as a single tear rolls down his cheek and prays under his breath. After another eternity of silence without a word, my dad bends down, disconnects the PlayStation, walks back to the computer, disconnects it, goes in his car, and drives away. And for the next 4 months, he kept the PS2 and PC locked up in his office at work, and it's one of my favorite memories of growing up. I miss my brothers. Bro, the way that he described that was so funny. I'm sorry for laughing so much while I was reading that. I'm just imagining giving this big serious speech about how our trust has been broken and we thought you were responsible enough for the console. He just right hooks the stripper, and then GTA does the GTA thing and gets insanely violent. My goodness. Bro knew he was in trouble at the Pizza Hut, but on the bright side, got a story for a lifetime, man. I feel like, this is not a good thing. I feel like every kid had played GTA when they weren't supposed to. Maybe it's just me and this guy, but I feel like every time I would go over to a friend's house and they had GTA, we would like sneak and play it because we thought it was the coolest thing ever. My significant other and I were meeting some old friends of hers that were in town for a day or two. I say in town because they were like an hour and change south of us. We met at the restaurant after a bit of the drive, and it was a hot day and my air conditioning was on the fritz, so it made sense I was really thirsty. What doesn't make sense is at some point after we got there, I just started drinking this dude's Coke like it was mine. It was kind of in front of me, I guess, but I hadn't ordered a soda, so I had no reason to assume it was mine. They'd never met me, so it's not like I knew them and I knew it was cool, and no one said a word the whole time. I realized I had been doing it when the waitress came around and asked for our drink orders, and yeah, it was the best first impression ever. I mean, listen, grabbing someone else's drink and drinking it is cringe, and I can understand it's embarrassing, but like, also kind of on them for not saying anything. I feel like if I was at dinner and someone grabbed my drink, I would be like, yo, that's mine. It's not confrontational. I don't think the person should get offended that you're pointing out that the drink isn't theirs. Why did they not say anything? They just get in the car. I can't believe her boyfriend drank my Coke without asking. Did you say anything? No. Well, then that seems like your problem. Hide and seek during a family party. 12-year-old me decided to hide in the bathtub, and I pulled the shower doors closed and waited. No one found me, but within 2 to 3 minutes, my aunt came in to take a leak, and she didn't notice me, and I kept quiet too long, and I had to commit. The sound of her piss trickle still haunts me to this day. Oh God, why? Yeah, you've gotten to know your aunt a little bit too good now. I like, don't really understand why you wouldn't say something before she started using the restroom. That being said, once she's already using the restroom, you're right. Like, it's already too late, you just have to commit, because it'd be more awkward if you popped out of the shower while she was peeing, like a really bad surprise party. She's like, I went away on a school trip with a bunch of people to participate in an art competition. It was a week long and I looked forward to it quite a bit, and I needed to preface the story with the fact I'm someone who rarely cries and I'm not usually emotional about trivial things. Anyways, we arrived at the place and I found suddenly that I wanted to go home. I wasn't interested in what we were doing, the accommodations sucked, and to my unending embarrassment, I started crying one day and I could not stop. I remember being bewildered by my sudden onset of tears and not being able to stop it. One teacher was incredibly concerned and was convinced something terrible had happened and I was keeping it to myself. The stupid, lame reason was that I simply did not want to be there. Somehow, years of not really crying hard at anything burst forth and I cried periodically for 2 days. My mom called me and something she said just made me stop, and after that I had fun and I'm still kinda stumped what that was about and I cringe every time I remember it. On the ominous side, that incident was the last time I cried that I can remember, and even more embarrassingly, I was 15 when that happened. Not 10 as you might think, and I'm 20 now and I shudder to think what random incident might prompt my next tier festival. Dude, imagine you're just like on a trip, right? You're talking to your friend. All of a sudden they start crying and they just don't stop for the next few days. I understand that teacher probably got annoying, but I get why they thought something horrible happened. They were probably like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine what they're going through. They've been crying for 9 days straight. Plus, at least your teachers cared enough to check in. I feel like if I was ever on a trip with most of my teachers and I was crying for 2 days, they probably wouldn't even have noticed. Today I messed up by thinking my car's Bluetooth wasn't working. I work in a pretty chill kitchen. We don't serve food at the location where I work, so things are pretty relaxed and we don't have to wear anything in particular. We can listen to music while we work and have a staff meal and so forth. Generally, how things go is that all the staff will finish the day together and leave at the same time, which sometimes entails leaving a little bit later than foreseen. Also important is that I'm something of a middle manager, let's say, so I have responsibilities and accesses that other staff don't have, but I still have quite a few people above me in the pecking order. Today, I was a bit huffy about something that happened. It wasn't really anything major, but it did mean that when my shift ended, I just wanted to be out, told my boss I was leaving, clocked out, grabbed my bag, and went to my car. Since I wasn't in a good mood, I decided to just put my Spotify favorites playlist on and let that play out. We had been listening to some weird bluegrass all day, and I'm into weird stuff other people don't like that generally doesn't go together, so I was pumped to be able to finally play the good stuff. So I turn on the first song, and nothing. It says it's playing, and the tracker is moving, but no sounds coming out, and I try turning up and down the volume, but still nothing. I fiddle with it a little more, but nothing works, so I just go meh, and switch to the radio and drive off. The playlist was still playing though, and I'd periodically switch with it and mess with it some more, turning up the volume or switching the song, but nothing was working. My commute home is about an hour away, but I got so fed up with my music, I stopped at a gas station about halfway, restarted my phone, and boom, the Bluetooth was working again, and I enjoyed my dumb mishmash of songs on the way home. So where's the mess up, you may ask? I only realized as I was pulling up to my house. My dudes, my siblings in Christ, I was hooked up to the speaker system at work, and I had been playing weird bluegrass music at the request of my coworker, and I couldn't hear my music in the car because all the rest of my colleagues and bosses were listening to it instead. You see, our sound system is based on an app that uses Spotify, not Bluetooth. I can play music in my workplace anywhere I have internet connection, and it's useful because it means you can have a phone conversation while still playing music. The one thing about the app is it takes precedence over Bluetooth. If there's a possible Bluetooth connection in this app, Spotify will choose to play on the app over the Bluetooth. And the only way to escape this is to turn on airplane mode or turn off data or restart your phone. From what I can gather, they probably got a little less than 10 songs in before I restarted my phone, and my music was on shuffle, and I know that they heard Drugs by Falling in Reverse 3 different times because that was mostly what I wanted to listen to, so I kept restarting it and letting it play. But what else could they have heard? Spit It Out by Slipknot, Auslander by Rammstein, some of my Chemical Romance songs I put on there for nostalgia, and the black metal chamber music song a friend did. At least that one is 7 minutes long, so it eliminates the other options, but black metal chamber music? The bagpipe dubstep, Ukrainian hard bass, bimbo core, Daddy by Psy, Big Time Rush by Big Time Rush? I can't even decide what the worst option is because the black metal chamber music is more on brand for me, but Big Time Rush by Big Time Rush is still a banger. See, this one's not as bad as a lot of the other ones, but I just think it's funny because his music's just so all over the place. They're like listening to some black metal chamber music. Next thing you know, Big Time Rush comes on. They're like, is he messing with us? Honestly, I'm not insulting your music taste. Having your own music taste is sick. It's just funny that your playlist seems like something you would see in like a meme video. Like, that's how varied it is. That's compliment. That's compliment. This one's not that bad, though. I don't feel like your coworkers will really freak out too much. Could you imagine he gets fired for this? Like, they just lose their mind for some reason? I was, for the most part, alone on a playground across the street from where my mom was in a meeting with her club. I was on the tire swing trying to make it spin as fast as I could, and I got it going pretty good, and as the rest of the playground whipped past my vision, I saw 2 girls roughly my age walk up to me. Hey, can we use the tire swing? You've been on it for a while now. For some reason, centrifugal blood loss to my brain, I guess. My response was to flip them the bird, or in this case, spin them the bird. What's he's doing? One said. He's giving us the finger, but it was the way she said it. Not hurt, not impressed, not even surprised. Her tone was like ice, and it made me feel like a subhuman piece of crap. I immediately arrested my spin, slunk out of the tire swing, and ran, albeit clumsily and sort of sideways, across the street to my mommy. And when I stuck my head in the door, I had tears running down my face, and she urgently came out to see what was wrong. I gave a girl the finger. I mean, at least you felt bad. They were just like, hey, we have been patiently waiting. May we have our turn? Flip them the bird, bro. You start crying right after. They were probably so confused. From then on, she just used that ice tone for anything, bro. Anytime someone gave her some attitude, she was just like, explain what they would do in that same tone. And you've basically given her a superpower for life. Seriously, I feel like little kids just be doing dumb stuff like flipping things off for no reason. I remember when I was younger, I thought like giving the middle finger to things was just the peak of comedy, bro. I thought I was a comedic genius. Look at me, I'm flipping things off, guys. Isn't this hysterical? So I guess I could understand how you did that and thought it was going to be a good idea, but I don't know. At least you felt bad. You learned from it. It's pretty cringe, but man, dude, you got smacked down pretty hard there. Anyways, guys, I think that's going to do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I would really appreciate y'all taking a second to press the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. And of course, subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.